Did you know that as you're listening to this, there are over 45 million people trapped in some form of slavery globally? One in four are children, and every hour, an estimated 130 people are trafficked. Slavery still exists today. When I discovered that slavery still existed over 4 years ago now, after watching a documentary on television, I was shocked. I couldn't understand how this issue was still happening today. And I asked everybody in my year group at school, that's over 150 children, do you know that slavery still exists? And not one of them knew. And it was from that moment that I was determined to raise awareness and drive positive action around this issue. Slavery is a dehumanizing practice of our own creation, a barbaric degradation of our common humanity. It isn't just an issue happening in faraway countries or faraway communities either. It is happening right on our doorsteps, and a lot of people are unaware of this. I certainly had no idea that slavery continues to persist, hidden in plain sight. I thought it was abolished back in the 19th century. But we are encountering slavery every day in the clothes we wear, foods we eat, and potentially even on our high streets. Slavery is closer than we think. But what is slavery today? Actually, slavery is the act of controlling or owning someone, commonly through mental or physical threat or abuse. It is the act of physically or emotionally constraining or restricting someone's freedom of movement, forcing them to work for little or no pay, and treating them as property that has been bought or sold. This applies to any person, anyone, and slavery involves a number of highly exploitative practices, including forced labor, bonded labor, state-imposed forced labor, forced marriage, human trafficking, sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, and organ trafficking, to name a few. And now human trafficking is one of the main forms of slavery that we see today. And it is when you're transporting, or when somebody is transporting illegally a person or people from one country or one area to another into a form of slavery. And this could be across international borders, state boundaries, or even between houses. And as I mentioned earlier, slavery is happening closer than we think. And in fact, a recent report published by Justice and Care, which is an anti-slavery organization, confirms that there are over 100,000 victims of modern slavery in the UK. That's 10 times greater than what the government has been previously estimating. And the most common forms of slavery that we see in the UK are forced labor, sexual exploitation, and also with an increased online presence of young people during this COVID-19 crisis, we're seeing an increase in the rates of online or cyber trafficking, as we would call it. And the main question around this issue is why and how? Why is slavery still existing, and how is it that this crime and these forms of exploitation are still existing today? And the answer to that question is because of vulnerabilities. Wherever there are vulnerabilities, traffickers are ready to exploit. Therefore, it can be concluded that there are a number of different challenges and issues that exacerbate the rates of exploitation across the globe. Poverty, gender inequality, lack of access to education, hunger, culture, toxic masculinity, political ideology. These are all challenges that lead to vulnerabilities, which in turn increase the risks of exploitation.